What's good, everybody? It's Ryan. So this video is a 20-minute clip from an interview I did with Luke Forprez a few months ago about his $100,000 plus journey with selling beats on Google Ads. The whole video itself is almost an hour and a half long, just packed with gems about kind of getting started with Google Ads, setting up an actual campaign for Google Ads and like running through each individual thing. And then we actually look at a campaign that Robin ran, and Luke tells us how he looks at this data and actually optimizes for beat sales to get a campaign going to generate him profit and actually make money by using Google Ads. Now, if you want to access the full interview packed with all of these gems that Luke has for Google Ads and actually the step-by-step process of setting up your first campaign and optimizing it for sales, it is only available for our CCS members. So if you do want to get full access, all you have to do is watch the free masterclass below. And then after watching the masterclass, you will get the option to join CCS as a member. Now, without any further ado, I totally believe you guys can get some major gems from just this 20-minute clip. So let's roll it.
We've kind of covered it already, but I think you just have to have a long-term mindset when it comes to these ads. And you can't give up if you lose money for like a month, right? Or 2 months. And you're not seeing consistent sales. Like that's just not enough time. Like you still have to like learn the intricacies of whatever platform you're using. So if you're going to start at all, you need to have that long-term perspective. That's basically like.
So another thing with being self-taught is I'll get to budget here next, but I want to talk about, kind of like when we do YouTube videos and whatnot, when you're a producer, I think you can watch all the videos you want on trying to do something. I think juggling is a great example. You can watch all the videos in the world you want about juggling, but until you're actually trying to learn it, you don't really learn anything yourself. So would you say that, you should brush up on some videos, or should you just kind of do some minor research and start off with a small budget and go from there with the actual platforms?
Yeah, I mean, I think, getting at least like a baseline understanding of how things work is important to do at first, because there are like simple things that you might overlook that could cost you a lot of unnecessary dollars. So I do think it's important to do some research, watch a few videos before just kind of going for it, just so you have like a big picture understanding of what you're doing. But then, the optimization process can only happen by you actually just getting in there and playing with it yourself, checking out the results on a daily basis and making adjustments as you go from there. So, and you can always like continue to brush up on things if you have specific questions. There's a video for everything out there these days. So even if there's like one particular functionality that you're unsure of how it works or what its purpose is, you can just do a quick Google search and get some resources. But yeah, I mean, you got to dive in at some point, right? Otherwise you're just going to, be stuck in like analysis paralysis. You're never going to act. And that's not going to get you any beat sales.
I mean, I think a lot of us are in that space with like everything we do. It's tough to get out of that space because you're worried, especially with money on the line. So what would you say is, I've had people send me screenshots of them running ads for like $2 a day, $5 a day. Is that kind of one of those things where you have to be realistic to expect the results you're going to get for that much money?
Yeah, exactly. 100%. And I think that's something that people overlook as well. Additionally, like there's more competition now than when I started. When I started with $10 a day and I got sales right away. Like first couple days, I got a sale and I was like super hyped, but I was still obviously like still spending like, way more than I was making because the sales weren't consistent. But I don't know if that's possible in 2021 to start with $10 and get a sale like right away. Right. I don't know.
I'm gonna cut you off there, but there's nothing. I guess we'll talk about this more in the setup. But Google has the optimization for, I think is it a 7-day window where you don't, if you like even touch one of the smallest things in the campaign, it like can't optimize correctly. Is that?
I've heard different things.
Learning?
Yeah.
I think it's called the learning.
Yeah. Like there's like a learning phase, right? I don't know if it's a week or 2 weeks. I think like I've heard different things. Yeah. It's like they don't release a lot of the intimate details of their algorithms to the public. So you kind of just have to use your best judgment. But yeah, at least like 1 to 2 weeks, you should let something run before making any big changes, because there is like a learning phase. You're absolutely right.
All right, awesome. And then before we get into the setup, I've been getting this question. Everybody's coming at me for this question. It's a 100K journey. Everybody wants to know, what is the profit and loss on 100K?
I think I said recently in the video that I made when I got like 50K in 2020, the profit's basically zero. Every dollar that I've ever made on beats, I've thrown back into the business for one reason or another, either to try new different ads or to invest in VSTs or courses, or just like I have every like I have like the pro version of vidIQ. I have Zoom. I pay for ClickFunnels. Like I have so much shit, right? Like just to try to keep the business going, because luckily, like I've had, a lot saved from those dark days where I was like an office slave, So like I've been able to just kind of tread water. But I know everybody asked me about like profitability and stuff too. I mean, I've had months where I've had, $3,000 of profit, $2,000 of profit. And then other months where I break even, and then other months where I lose like $1,000 if I have like extra expenses or something. So yeah, I mean, I really try to just throw everything back into the business. So it's, that's basically still where I'm at. And as long as I can kind of continue to tread water, I'm going to do that as long as I possibly can, so I can continue to scale, as we go here.
Until you find your $1 million ad.
Yeah, there you go.
Like a 36-to-1 return.
There you go.
That'd be
it's possible.
That'd be crazy. So we'll hop into just going over the setup of Running Run, and then we actually have this is an old ad that Robin ran of where I think it was about $3,400. No, that's the total. My bad. It's about $634 in euros. So we're gonna go over this one so that way Luke can kind of show us what he looks at, just so I can have some actual data for you guys, and Luke can actually explain it better, and he's not just saying random terms and you guys have no clue what we're doing here. So new campaign. I don't think Luke needs to run us through how to get one started here. So Luke, if you want, you said, was sales the one you always optimize for?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you think everybody should hop right into sales? You think people should test out website traffic? Because I know with my research, people say, you should look at website traffic first and see how that does, then go to sales, or just go right into sales.
I've heard that more for Facebook ads. But as far as Google is concerned, I've always just started with sales. And again, if you're using a BeatStars website, like it's going to be hard for the algorithm to optimize for it anyway. I don't know if there's like a material difference between, how it optimizes in terms of like trying to generate a lead versus a sale or website traffic. So I always just recommend starting with sales in this case. And just kind of, going from there.
On that one. And you're doing mostly search ads these days?
Correct. Those are the ones that have yielded the best results for sure.
I know I've seen some stuff on display. I think you've made a video about display, and you did give the disclaimer. It's kind of more of a low quality. The costs are a lot cheaper with display, but to my understanding, they're pretty lower quality as well.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So it's definitely a trade-off, and it's something worth considering if you are, if you have a small budget, if you don't have a lot of money to invest in this, you will get cheap clicks, like very cheap clicks compared to search. But the quality of those clicks, meaning like how targeted that audience is not going to be as specific as search. The beauty with search is people literally have to type in a very specific keyword to trigger your ad. And that keyword is going to be related to whatever you're selling. So it's like these people are like clearly interested. Whereas with display ads, it might show up on like a random like candle website or something. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have control over where the ads are placed, which, obviously is not ideal, but it's worth like experimenting with.
Yeah, I think I could make maybe like a little cool brand awareness strategy. I don't know if you want to get into that. If you're gonna put your face out there, I think if somebody sees your face every time they go to a different website. Hey, maybe, but
That's exactly right. But I wouldn't focus on that primarily.
all right, campaign name. I think that one's pretty self-explanatory, guys. So I'm not gonna pick his brain apart about that one. Actually, do you run different campaigns? So is there a formula you have for naming stuff so you don't get it lost?
No, some people do, like especially if you're like a actual like digital ads manager and you're running campaigns for multiple companies and whatnot. But no, I just use one at a time. So the naming's not very important for me personally.
So what would you say would be a good starting budget, objectively?
So, yeah, I mean, I don't think anything less than $10. I think this is my real answer. The more, the better.
Yeah.
The most that you can afford is what I would say. I don't think anything less than $10 is going to net you consistent, sustainable returns. Again, whatever you can afford to be the minimum, with the thought in mind that you're going to need to up that as you go, right? So that's kind of the consideration. But yeah, I would say like 10 at the very minimum, but like 20 would be better.
Okay.
I think probably like for 2021, now that there's like more people doing this, in part due to my videos, I think. I think I kind of like
way to go,
shot
man.
myself in the foot in terms of the competition. But yeah,
20.
10 to 20, I would say is like.
And then we're looking to see, this is gonna be a monthly too, so it's about, you can times that by 30, so get around $600 or even $300. And one thing I want to talk about too that I've seen when I did ads that I never really saw anybody talk about is Google they'll overspend your money too. If they feel as though they can, if they feel as though they can do it, they will spend your money. So make sure to keep track of this. How often do you look into your campaigns? Is it daily, a few times a week, or?
So I do like a glance daily and a more in-depth look weekly, and I'll explain why, like as we go and talk about like negative keywords and whatnot. But yeah, I definitely like just make sure it's
I think I set my budget to $10 one time, and I woke up to 33, and I was like, all right, that's cool.
Yeah, well, okay. So the thing about that though is usually, even if like certain days they go way over your daily budget, they're not counting it by daily budget. They're counting it by the monthly budget amount. Okay. So at the end of the month, if your budget for that month is $600, it's probably going to be roughly $600. Even if one day it spends $5 and another day it spends $35, it ends up balancing out. So don't freak out if you see like a huge number like that, like at some point.
Now getting into the bidding strategy. So we're just focusing on conversion, right?
Yeah.
And then target cost per action. This is probably something that you probably have because you have enough data, I would imagine, correct?
Yeah.
But
I don't
first starting out.
Yeah, and I still don't even use that. I don't let them, because see, it might be different for someone using Soundy, where you can actually leverage the genius of the algorithm, where you can actually, as the data comes in, it can help maximize conversions, as it's saying, and then that might actually work. But for me, because I'm using BeatStars and I can't really maximize for conversions, I do everything manually. So I set all of my cost per clicks manually. So like I would click on like select bid strategy directly, even though it says not recommended. The reason why it says that is because they want to charge you more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what ends up happening when you.
So would you say? So could we? I guess we. So should we stay like this, or should we go into select the bid strategy then when first starting out?
Well, so click on that and then click on maximize conversions. Let me see like what the other. See, okay, yeah. So see where it says manual CPC at the bottom. That's what I would do. So, if you don't have your targeting dialed, that's what I would recommend to be able to have the most control over your ad spend.
Okay, so we'll do that for that one. Just to run through the settings. So optimize for conversions.
Yeah, you can leave it like that, but I would unclick enhanced CPC because that also spends more money.
Okay, sweet. I just want to run through everything just because I know everyone's going to have always questions about it. So ad rotation. I think, would you keep yours on optimize?
Yeah. So for this, because they do have the data regardless of whether you're using BeatStars or another platform. it'll know who's clicking on what, how many impressions you're getting, etc. And it will have enough data regardless to know which are your best performing ads. So yeah, I would definitely allow them to optimize for the better performing ads.
Awesome. And then I think the last one was conversions. And I think, are you just using account level, including conversion settings?
Let's see, select which conversions are included in conversion. Yeah. So again, like I can't get much value from this based on my setup, but I would just leave it as that. You know,
so I guess if we do have a Soundy player, I know we actually can set up transactions. So
then perfect.
Would you
That's
recommend?
the case. Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah. If you have that set up, you're making me want to switch to Soundy. I'm gonna be real.
Campaign settings, going to the networks. I believe in all of your videos you turn these off, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
So this is just the search network and display network, I imagine. So they're gonna tell us to put it on there.
Yeah, that's just gonna make you spend more money. That's one of those things you mentioned.
All right, so now we're getting into the good stuff. So to preface this, I've spent ads where I targeted everybody, and it's cool because I'm like, wow, my costs are really low, and then I see that it's coming from all third world countries and nobody's ever buying. So, I guess I want to talk about this is, so there's kind of some obvious things to talk about is like, if you're doing maybe like reggaeton music, totally butchered that, you know where your audience probably isn't in the United States and Kentucky. So, is there a way you would think maybe look into like your YouTube analytics, you can pull your audience and see where your viewers are, things like that?
That's a great way of doing it. If you have that kind of data already to pull from, if you have any kind of traction on YouTube, I basically just set it up to include the United States exclusively.
Okay.
Just generally. And then as you go, you can actually increase the bids for certain regions if you see that your sales are coming from certain places more often than not.
I think I did catch that in a video. I think you had a bid increase on Texas or something. I was like, that's it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I get a lot of like Houston people.
That does not, I just want to preface this, does not mean that you should be targeting Houston right away.
Yeah, no, just like let the data be your guide, right? Like where it depends, right? But if you make drill, right? Like if you make like UK drill, then it would make sense to include the UK and maybe up your bids for like New York as well. Right?
I think it's totally kind of common sense with what you're doing.
Exactly.
Would you recommend, I know these are a little bit more kind of in depth, but I personally don't think they'd be used, but do you have any suggestions for these? Keep them the way they are?
Let's see, presence or interest people in regular. Yeah, I mean, I would just leave it on the recommended one for that one. That doesn't matter too much for our business, at least. Right? If you had something that was like geographically tied to a certain location, it would make more sense to maybe adjust that. But for us, no.
All right. Languages, I imagine probably just keep it on English.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Now, audiences. What's your take on audiences when you're first starting out? Just keep it blank, or
you could keep it blank, or you could obviously select like rap and hip hop fans. The thing is, like, I don't know exactly how this part is incorporated into the algorithm, because on the next page we're about to set up a bunch of keywords, and so regardless of whether or not Google thinks you fall into these demographics on the on this list, if you type in trap beats for sale, like my ad's gonna come up probably. You know what I'm saying? So I think you could this is one of those things where maybe you want to test both and see if you get a better response one way or the other. You can try leaving it blank, or just for the hell of it, you can select rap and hip hop fans and maybe dial it in even a little bit more, because I think there's like other ways you can kind of get more specific with it, and see if that makes any kind of difference over the course of a couple weeks.
But optimization right there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Let's see, so we're just gonna keep that one blank for now. More settings. Do you think you should set maybe like an end date at all, just in case something ever happens where you get locked out of your account? I don't know.
If you like end up in a coma or something.
Yeah, set one just for security.
You could. I mean, I'm so meticulous with it, and like I said, I check it like at least a little bit every day. That's not really necessary for me. But if you think you might forget about it, or you're going on a trip or something where you're not going to have Wi-Fi or something, like yes, set it. But otherwise, just let it run.
Ad schedule. I want to preface this. This is something that I think I put a lot of emphasis on when I was first learning and starting, because I was like, I get more clicks at like 4 p.m. So I was like, I only want to run my ads during those times. Do you think ad schedule is something you should start off kind of limiting the algorithm with, or just keep it all day?
No, I would actually start as general and broad as possible, and then you can adjust that based on the data that you get over the first couple weeks. And if you see that, I'm getting all these clicks at 4 p.m., then maybe you can
go
back
from there
and mess with that. Yeah, exactly.
All right, so we have campaign URL settings. I don't think there's going to be anything too in depth for us to look at here.